evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the fifth informal budget workshop this Thursday, March 30th at 7 p.m. We have an exciting evening for our community and all of our visitors here today. First, I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for the pledge. And after we finish our pledge, I'd just like to ask everyone to continue standing for a moment of silence for the members of the Covenant School in Nashville who have passed away. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence, please. Be seated. So, Rich, special presentations.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is wonderful. We got a great crowd here tonight. All right. So I am really excited for the special presentations tonight and for the presentations for the workshop. So let me first say that in honor of Women's Month, okay, this obviously March is Women's Month, we wanted to honor 4 very special young ladies. They are, we always talk about breaking the glass ceiling. They have been breaking the glass ceiling in Brentwood's honor. And that's, we have 4 young ladies who are wrestling. And they are doing an outstanding job. They actually, first to let you know, we actually do not have a girls wrestling team.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. We will be getting one.
Well, we actually combined with Bayshore, and we have a wrestling team with Bayshore, and we had 4 young ladies who actually went to the States. And we also have a young lady, however, who wrestled for the boys' team. So when you do not have a girls' team, a girl has the right to come out for the boys' team. And we have a wrestler here with us this evening that wrestled on the boys' team, and she did outstanding. An incredible, incredible athlete. So I'm actually speaking too much. I'm going to introduce our athletic director, who's actually going to introduce the 4 young ladies. So, Francisco Herrera, our athletic director.
Hope you can hear me from
Okay,
here.
Nick.
Good evening, everyone.
Who are we expecting at the mic, Nick?
That looks like my side.
Good evening, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce these 3 fine young ladies who have done so much for the sport of wrestling in such a little time. We are missing one. She was not able to make it here, but we are going to honor her as well. These young ladies have broken the glass ceilings and opened the doors for other young ladies to come up and enjoy the sport of wrestling. The sport of female wrestling keeps growing and growing. Here in the United States, we officially held our first New York State Championships, and more girls are combining teams like we are today. It's unfortunate because the teams, and we are growing, and eventually, yes, we will have our own team, and hopefully in the near future. But for now, we have to combine teams in order to get the sport to grow. And our sport, not only, our team's not only combining with Bayshore and Brentwood, but there are four or five other teams that combine with us as well. I want to actually, well, I'm going to save that surprise for later, but one of the most common stereotypes when it comes to contact sport is masculine and something girls cannot touch because they are fragile. Not only did you break that stereotype, you have proven to others and yourselves that you could be better than any male or female that plays the sport. I read a quote from a female. I don't remember where I got this, but I read a quote from a female that stated, "Wrestling is a powerful sport for girls because it teaches how to own their space, their voice, and their body. Every time you get knocked down, you have to get back up." And from what I saw this year, from what I hear, you did more knocking down than getting up. So I say to you all, keep making us proud, keep making yourselves proud, and keep proving to those naysayers that the power of a determined young lady is more powerful than anything. So without further ado, let me introduce them and their accolades this year. First, Lynette Rivera. So Lynette Rivera is a varsity wrestler for the Bayshore Wrestling Program, made up of females from 6 other high schools in Suffolk County. She competed in this year's first ever New York State Public High School Athletic Association Female Wrestling States and took 4th place.
That's incredible. Wow, that is incredible.
She is a 152-pounder that wrestled at 172 during the regular season, and she wrestled upstate all the way and bumped her up to 189, making all-state honors.
Are you kidding me? That's incredible.
Next we have honors teacher coach, a senior, also wrestled for the Bayshore Brentwood Wrestling Program, made up of females and wrestlers from 6 other schools, competed in this first year's ever New York State Public High School Athletic Association Female Wrestling States, made all-state honors at 132, and became a Long Island champion, taking 1st place at this year's Long Island Championship at 138. Wow. And also we have here Jocelyn Rojas, a 10th grader, Brentwood varsity wrestling team. As you stated earlier, she wrestled for our boys wrestling team this year and became the first Brentwood female wrestler to place in an invitational Section 11 tournament, placed 4th at the Rocky Gilmore Classic Varsity Tournament, and also became a Long Island champion at 104. I am sure, and I don't want to forget Amy Bonilla. She couldn't be here with us today, but she also is a varsity wrestler at the Bayshore Wrestling Program, made up of females from the 6 other schools, competing this year's first ever New York State Public High School tournament, made all-state honors at 132, and took 3rd place in the Long Island Championships at 138. So we congratulate her as well. They did say, hopefully we don't have to say anything at this board meeting today, but I would love for them to say something and share with you their experiences with the Brentwood Wrestling Program.
Well, we're going to insist.
So who
Who's
would you
first?
like to hear from? Jocelyn, do us.
Come on, Jocelyn.
And then each of you can say something. Just say something about your experiences and what you.
Okay. So wrestling with Brentwood actually taught me a lot because wrestling with boys, I feel like been a little bit different. I've been accepted with all the boys on the team. They're like a family with me. And I have 2 more years, so I have to keep going. And I hope to get better.
Wow, that is. I actually, if I can just say, Jocelyn, I stopped in to the wrestling room to watch practices. Obviously, I saw Jocelyn wrestle too in meets, but in the practice room, they don't mess around, okay? They throw each other around, and Jocelyn is right in there. It's really quite impressive to see. So you're an inspiration to everybody. That's terrific, Jocelyn.
Yeah, all right. She's stage fright. But honesty will close it for us.
All right, honesty.
I wrestled for Brentwood when I was 4 years old in the Brentwood Kid Wrestling Program. So Brentwood wrestling was my roots, and in 9th grade I went to wrestle for Bayshore Girls Wrestling Team so I can become a pioneer of my own sport, and it felt amazing to do.
Wow.
with you again.
Oh, thank you, but hang on a second. The board actually has a certificate for each one of you.
Yes. So this certificate of recognition is awarded to Jocelyn Rojas in recognition of your competing at the first ever New York State Public High School Female Wrestling Championship meet and your barrier-breaking efforts towards girls' high school wrestling.
Nope.
Stay right there, stay right there. We're gonna come around.
Stay right there.
Certificate of recognition. This certificate is awarded to Anastasia Coach in recognition of your competing at the first ever New York State Public High School Female Wrestling Championship meet and your barrier-breaking efforts towards girls' high school wrestling.
All right.
Last but not least, certificate of recognition. This certificate is awarded to Lynette Rivera in recognition of your competing at the first ever New York State Public High School Female Wrestling Championship meet and your barrier-breaking efforts towards girls' high school wrestling. Just so you know, you ladies are an inspiration to all the young little girls who are looking up to you guys right now and saying if they can do it, we can do it. So thank you.
Yeah, terrific. Yeah, sure, we can.
Let's shift the balance.
All right, I've got eyes. Everyone look this way, please. 1, 2, 3. We'll take a bunch of these. First, you'll
On
say
three,
one
hang
word.
on three. What should it be? Girls wrestling. All right? No, girl power. How about that? That's pretty funny. On three, ready? 1, 2, 3.
More.
Yep.
And more special presentations continue.
Okay, this next one, we're really excited. We're really excited to bring up a very, very special young lady who is going to read a piece that she wrote that really moved all of us who were here last week at Young Authors Night. It was actually just a beautiful, it was a beautiful piece about peace, okay, and how we can all grow from that. And I am so excited I'm going to introduce you in just 1 second, Stacy, but first I'm going to bring up Miss Brockbank. If you could lay the groundwork for us, Miss Brockbank. Yes, Ms. Brock. I know that was a long time with Miss Brockbank is our coordinator of ELA and Fine Arts, and she is just a wonderful person and a great, great administrator. So it's my pleasure to introduce
Oh, thank you.
Trish Brockbank.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. As most of you know, this year's Young Authors Night, the contest is a district-wide contest, K through 8, and the focus this year was digital literacy, and specifically addressing the curriculum with digital usage, responsible digital usage, and digital citizenship. And so we had many across the district submissions, and Stacy Mahee is definitely a standout because Stacy's was packaged in 21st century skills. Not only did she have a strong voice and passion for the project and what she believes in, but it was packaged in a way that it was sent to me via audio with a presentation, an oral presentation. She read her piece on video. It was also packaged with a poster and packaged with evidence of the work that has happened with the high school and Dr. Grella and her team of teachers with the 3D printer. Her prompt that she chose to write about was what I would make with a 3D printer. So she's going to read in a few minutes, and I think Ms. Briones wants to say something too. Correct?
All right.
Yeah, come on up.
Ms. Briones.
So good evening. Thank you, Ms. Barbank, for putting, and the whole department for putting this wonderful night together. I want to thank the board for allowing us to come and showcase Stacy's work. I would like to thank Mr. Lochner for connecting with Stacy that night. I know it meant a lot to her and to her family.
Meant more than me, believe me.
Yes. So I spoke to Mom when we invited her, and Stacy's full of ideas. And Mom just said that it just pops into her head, like she has no idea. Her room is completely decorated by her own ideas. But more importantly also, I just want to show that we all come together as a Brentwood family. So this was Stacy's original idea, who then came to our consultant, who then, with our library media specialist, reached out to Dr. Grella, who then connected us to the 3D printer. So
Incredible.
this went from elementary to high school to everybody, and this just showcased what Brentwood is all about. We're a huge family here to support. She planted a little seed, and here it grows. So without further ado, Stacy.
Hi, my name is Stacy and I'm from North Elementary. If I had a 3D printer, I would print large symbols of peace to share awareness of kindness. Those symbols would be used to inspire other people who need to be kinder to people in their schools and their communities, so everyone in the world will smile and be happy. I would put the symbols on trees, walls, and streetlights, and I would hope people would look at them happily. I hope it inspires them to be respectful, and I hope this paragraph also inspires you to be the best version of yourself. Always share respect and kindness to everyone. Also, don't forget to respect yourself. Peace and respect are important because it makes people happy and it makes you happy, and that's why I would print a peace symbol. So I reached out to Dr. Grella and the students in the high school science lab, and they made me a special gift. Check out this symbol of peace that they made for me. Isn't it awesome? I hope to get more symbols made so I can hang them all over the school district to spread peace and kindness. Thank you for listening, and I hope I inspired you to be kinder to others.
Stacy, hang on, Stacy. Your wish has come true. Can you?
Now you get to choose who you can give them to, but I would gladly, you
No.
think you should probably give one to Mr. Lochner. and
No.
the board,
Now,
I think. But you can bring them back because you know what, you have a ton more printing that you can give them. So this has been a great opportunity to really meet you and, really, I hope to see you soon at the high school. And really, it's been a great opportunity to connect our elementary schools to our middle schools to our high schools. And this took a village. So it wasn't just me behind this. Mr. Mulderick helped. Miss Lewis, our library media specialist, she strung all those up for you today.
Wow.
And my students, they helped modify the large 3D print file to make it smaller so that the ornament that you're holding is a lot smaller. So you get to spread the message of peace, and we get to model it. And that's what we do here in Brentwood. We model, we take vision, we take hope, and we show everybody that we have the ability to do whatever we put our minds to. So that's what you did. You put your mind to something, you made your vision a reality, and that's what science is all about.
Thanks.
So you keep doing that, okay? Congratulations. Nice to meet you. And thank you, Ms. Brockbank, for including me in the digital literacy.
Oh, you have this. Hang on.
Thank you. I'll put this back.
So we have a certificate of recognition. This certificate is awarded to Stacy Mejia Garcia for being an upstander and your passion for spreading a message of peace and kindness throughout the halls of North Elementary School. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. Stacy, we're going to take a picture right now, but also we need a copy of that. And Rick, can we get that
We
into?
have it on video, so we can just transcribe it from the video.
Okay, wonderful. All right. First piece, second time, Stacy. All right, ready?
Eyes here.
On three. 1, 2, 3.
All right, keep going, so go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Two more, last one, and good.
I'd love to show my students.
Go Stacy.
Okay, I think now we,
And we continue with our fifth informal budget workshop. First topic is instructional education by Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Ann Palmer.
while Ann's getting set up, if anybody, when you leave here this evening, if you take a look, that's actually what's called a 3D printer. I think we mentioned it a number of times. It's really quite incredible. It takes an idea, like Stacy's idea of a peace sign. It's put onto a computer, And then software obviously runs that, and it's really just an incredible piece. And how many do we have in the district, Dr. Grella?
We have 11 right now.
11, okay? Really something else. All different, some different sizes, right?
Of those, we have, I think, 9 of those.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Nothing like having a 3D printer on in your ear.
Can we put a pause?
That's
Do you want to
okay.
put a pause on it? or-
I can multitask and.
Wait, no, maybe.
No, it's okay. I just hope, this is a Zoom, so
Rebecca,
people might be hearing this. at
Can we
home.
put a pause on that? Can you do it mid-stream then?
Or I can move
It's
to the right.
challenging enough.
I can move to the right.
No, I think we can. No, I think no, Julie, we just paused it, Julie.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we can pause that midstream.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Ann Palmer. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education, and I'm happy to be with you tonight on behalf of the elementary leadership team made up of 11 principals, 8 assistant principals, curriculum coordinators, staff developers. I also want to give a shout out to the directors of our CBOs, Shepherd's Gate, Family Service League, MDQ, I work closely with. I want to thank Mr. Lochner and the Board of Education, and of course all of our amazing teachers who work with us every day to improve the lives of children. I entitled today's presentation, Whole Child, Whole Learner, because I think that it embodies what we believe collectively and value. I couldn't have planned tonight better by having that presentation given to Stacy. When we think about it, it's been 3 years since, whoops. There it goes. It's been 3 years since the emergency closure in March of 2020, and as disruptive as it was, I think it also taught us a lot about what students and families need, and it gave us a big picture approach to goal setting. In our leadership team meetings, we use this diagnostic tool for school district effectiveness that was given to us by the state 5 years ago. And that was given to us to kind of assess the effectiveness of our programs, the degree to which that we are meeting families' needs, the degree to which we are giving our children a meaningful and relevant education. But I think that this quote by Linda Darling Hammond actually sums up that entire tool nicely, and I'd like to start by reading it. So, a whole child approach seeks to address the distinctive strengths, needs, and interests of students as they engage in learning. It recognizes the importance of and interrelationships among all areas of development and designs school policies and practices to support them. These include access to nutritious food, health care, and social supports, access to strong relationships, educative and restorative disciplinary practices, and learning opportunities that are designed to activate and engage students, while supporting their motivation and self-confidence to persevere and succeed. All aspects of children's being are supported in an effort to ensure that learning happens in deep, meaningful, and lasting ways. And I just love Linda Darling Hammond. She's written several books, Powerful Teacher, Powerful Learning. And I think that this really embodies what we as a district strive to do every day. It's meeting the needs of the whole child, meeting families where they are. And I think that we learned through the pandemic that there were a lot of glaring inequities, but we I think together as a district, we overcame, and we've come back stronger than ever. And I think together we reinvented, we realigned, we reimagined everything, the way we do things, the way we give food out, the way we distribute, the way we educate our children. And I remember talking to you, Patrick, remember we were saying, is this a plague or a pedagogical renaissance? Remember? It was a renaissance. We were thrust into the 21st century. I think Stacy tonight, that we witnessed that tonight, that a student was able to use digital tools, she was able to create, and she had the confidence to present here tonight. And what grade is she in? She's in 3rd grade. So, I am always humbled. I stand on the shoulders of really great leaders and teachers, and so I just thought that this was much better than that diagnostic tool for school district effectiveness, because it says everything that's in there. So tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about and familiarize the community with the whole child philosophy, which is a multi-tiered system of support. I'm going to share some high leverage strategies that have been proven and researched best to improve the system. We always want to improve the system and give each child, family, teacher, administrator what they need to learn and thrive. And then I will end with a review of enrollment, staffing projections, and goals for continuous growth and improvement. So when we look at the multi-tiered system of support, it's everything under the umbrella, everything. It's our school community collaboration. It starts with us, a very supportive superintendent and board of education. And then it involves the outside community and the parent engagement and our PTAs. And then it also includes, our curriculum, and do we bring in the best for our kids? Do we bring in standards aligned curriculum? Then it also looks at, well, then how are we teaching that curriculum? What kind of pedagogical practices and skills are our teachers bringing into the classroom to make their education meaningful and engaging. And so it includes all of it. Do we have standards aligned instructional frameworks? And what does our school culture look like? When you think about school culture is about the decisions and the practices that principals put in place in their school to give it a positive vibe. And I can tell you that if you walk down the halls of any elementary school here in Brentwood, we have the best school climate. We have happy kids, and we have principals, assistant principals, and teachers working very hard to ensure that our kids have safe, healthy, challenged, and supportive learning environments. So this year, though, coming out of the pandemic, we noticed, and we've had conversations about it, we noticed that our children were coming to us not having a lot of confidence, right? They didn't have the social skills, especially young children who perhaps during the pandemic did not have a lot of social interaction. So children were entering UPK and kindergarten without knowing certain rules and expectations and behavior, which got us to thinking about how can you have a multi-tiered system of support without a solid classroom management kind of program. So that's where we brought PBIS in, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. This year, the elementary team began training. We got training through Long Island University, and we started to really rethink the discipline. And when you think about positive behavior intervention supports, that's exactly what it is. It's about positive reinforcement. It's about giving kids school-wide expectations and rules and behaviors that are easily understandable so that they know what it looks like. And it begins with 3 simple words. Are you safe? Are you helpful? And are you kind? And that's what we started teaching in UPK, and we're bringing it up to grades 1 through 5 now, and it just turns itself into respect, responsibility, and responsibility, and always safety, but not just safety in the sense that your school is hardened and you have monitors at the gate, but psychological safety too. Do children feel like they can take risks in the school? Is the principal and the teachers in that school approachable? And so I think that shifting to that so that we have common vision, expectations, practices, and language is the way to go. And we started to look at the functions of pathway. Why do kids misbehave? And really start, if we understand that, and sometimes you think it's so common, but when you start to really understand that sometimes it's an avoidance mechanism, or they want to get something, right? They want to obtain something. So we started to, as a team of administrators, teachers, and also our PPS staff. I really want to thank Rhonda and Sean and Garvin, and it's our guidance counselors, our social workers, and our our psychologists, social workers, and guidance counselors collectively are really like rethinking discipline in a way that's positive for kids. And you're going to see some acronyms. You'll see outside Southwest Elementary, they already have respect, responsibility, safety. If you walk into East Kindergarten, they're the East KC HEROES, stands for honesty and ownership and empathy. And if you go into Pine Park rocks. It's about responsibility and organization. And I think that, when an entire district wraps itself around an initiative, then you get kids like you see tonight. Stacy, if you spread, right, you get what you exude, right? And I think that each kindness, it's just spreading. So for next year, we, over the summer, we'd like to develop a curriculum. We have many things happening in our schools. We have the GREAT program, we have McGruff, we have the Too Good program, the Social Perspectives program. But what we really want to do is align everything neatly and package it so that it's organized and so that teachers actually have lessons that they can provide students with that direct, explicit instruction. So if we want kids to be respectful, then they need to understand that it's when you follow directions, you're being respectful, but they need to be told, good for you, thank you for following directions. It's all positive. If we want kids to be responsible, then we teach them that, doing their classwork on time, and we congratulate them. And if we want kids to be safe, especially in UPK, we teach them about safe walking feet, right? It's about having safe walking feet and congratulating them for that. So over the summer, we're looking to bring in Second Step, which is a digital program that gives teachers something to teach so that they can do robust morning circles and have conversations with kids and really get kids to develop personal power like we saw tonight. And as Linda Darling-Hammond spoke about, that the number one, the key to lessening and decreasing behavior problems is to have a really strong core instruction. To have a class environment where there's structure, there's routine, where teachers have lessons that start with the standards, and then they move into giving kids visible expectations for learning, a place where kids can self-reflect on their learning, a place where they feel comfortable enough to present, so they're reading, they're writing, they're listening, they're speaking. And so what we've begun to do, and I want to thank you, you gave us a science staff developer last year, and we have new science investigations that are coming. Next year, our 5th grade and 8th grade will have to take the science assessment online. They have to take it digitally. We're moving to CBT testing, computer-based testing. So I am thankful that you gave us the staff developer who has been working at the elementary level, actually K through 8, to work with teachers to develop these authentic science units that are aligned to the standards, as you can see. And this is just an exemplar. We have teachers from all across the district. We started in the summer, and we're doing some more writing throughout the year, and then following next year. And our teachers are working to create kind of relevant task statements for students, and we're developing a repository of exemplary science units by topic and by grade that will be shared with all teachers in the district. We currently have Elevate Science, that is a robust science curriculum, but like anything else, you have to huddle around your curriculum, and you have to make decisions, and you have to plan. So we're creating a repository of units by teachers for teachers. And this is just an example of a student, another third grade student who, you know, engaged in this learning, and she was able to, again, in third grade, she was able to create this brochure. She was able to depict what she learned about the weather cycle, and she was able to use digital technology to create this little brochure, third grade, and she was able to present on it as well. So I am grateful also for the 11 library media specialists, because as you saw at Young Authors Night, they made a world of difference. Last year I came to you and I showed you and I said this is the new computer science framework, and New York State is recommending that you take either a broad and deep exposure approach, moderate exposure, or basic exposure, and we are somewhere between broad and deep and moderate. Like all of our students in grades 2, 3, and 4 are getting a special class. Additionally, we're going to work with 5th grade teachers to make 5th grade and provide them with training and make 5th grade like a project-based learning year where they will be able to apply all of the skills that they got in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in 5th grade and be ready for middle school, high school, and beyond. It is amazing. Our children are learning dance mat typing. So you see little kids knowing where to position their fingers on the keyboard as little as 2nd grade. So it is making a difference, and I want to thank you for that. And you saw this if you went to Young Authors Night. We pulled these, and Miss Brockbank, she decorated her hallway with all of these. These are the actual standards so that you can read this, a parent can read this and see exactly what their children are learning in our elementary schools. So they are learning how to use digital tools. They're learning how to communicate and collaborate. They're learning how to be safe online as well. As you saw, Stacy is teaching us all about digital citizenship and what it means to be a responsible citizen. If you saw at Young Authors Night, they taught us about your digital footprint, right? They were teaching us about the password and that you shouldn't give your password to anyone. Our children are learning a lot. Additionally, thank you, Dr. Grella. Dr. Grella is working with teachers. We have VEX robot kits, and we're doing after-school programs there. My Saturday Academy, I have 5th grade engaged. They're in a drone cadet right now, and they're going to be flying drones. So we are definitely cutting edge. I want to thank Russ and Candace for coming out last Saturday, or else those drones would not have gotten off the ground without your help. So I want to thank you for that. Finally, the goals, right? And one thing that I have to say about this cabinet and principals is that we definitely think about our goals, and we connect our needs to our goals and our expenditures to our goals, and we're not frivolous. And every hire, every resource is there for a reason. So I kind of thought about 3 goals. I tried to keep it to 3. And the first one is that we definitely are going to enhance our MTSS structures so that we're able to review student data, identify interventions, monitor the intervention, and determine next steps. I am very grateful that we have a coordinator of funded programs who happens to be here tonight, and an assistant coordinator for funded programs who's helping us pull that data, that state data, that local data, help populate it for building principals so that they and their SIT teams can huddle around their data. I am grateful for that extra support because it does involve looking at local data and comparing it and sharing that with principals. We are looking to purchase technology or a platform. We've begun, the district MTSS committee has begun to look at a platform. Right now we're looking at Branching Minds that's going to help us keep all that data in one place so that when teachers have a child that they believe is struggling and they assign or apply an intervention, it's able to go into this platform and the workflow follows easily. eSchool has been helpful. However, as you know, technology evolves, and there are programs out there that can actually mirror the MTSS workflow. So we're looking to bring that in, and I think that that's going to be a game changer for all of us. Not only does it help us keep track of the interventions and monitor it, but it also links us to other interventions. And so it's like an if this, then that hub. So if the child struggles with decoding, then you could try A, B, C, D, E, F. And so it kind of gives us opportunities to give the child the right medicine, so to speak. The second goal is always to enhance instructional capacity. So over the summer, we will be posting for teachers to begin to work on this PBIS framework. I'd love to garner the support of, like I said, our PPS staff with grade level teachers. We purchased a brand new 3 Cheers for Pre-K program right now at our CBOs, and we purchased professional learning for those teachers, and we also bought new furniture and all kinds of resources to strengthen their environment. We are in the process of, we actually are adopting a brand new reading program, right, Trish? And I know that was an arduous process. We had, I think, 52 teachers pilot this year, 17 administrators, and they presented, I think it was an HMH versus Savis and HMH1. I can tell you that the best program was chosen. We made sure of that. We're also looking to pilot a brand new math program in 23-24 because these programs were 10 years old, and that's what you're supposed to do. Every 10 years, you're supposed to refine and adopt a new program to keep up with the times and ensure that our children are getting the best. And finally, I just can't say enough about the Principal AP network that we have here. I am always in schools, and I'm always inspired by the professional learning that they're providing at the school level. I can just name a few looking at the slide. I mean, Bob McCarthy had some amazing Writers Workshop PD there. We have 4 or 5 schools engaging in the Learner Active Tech Infused Classroom, North Oak, Twin Pines. How'd you get that is at Hemlock, and we're sharing that. Foundational 5, what does a strong core look like? These are just a few. I looked at all of the principals, superintendent's conference day. Agendas were absolutely amazing. The amount of professional learning that was given by teachers for teachers. Teachers were trained in Nearpod and Flipgrid. And then we got a brand new Sunday intervention system for students who are struggling with dyslexia. Garvin trained all the speech teachers on superintendent's conference day. So we are just a district on the move. We really are. And these are just a few. And I also want to thank the elementary teachers. We have many elementary teachers through the Teacher Center acting as mentors. So as they're retiring, and we have the best and brightest retiring, they are coming back. They are acting as mentors. And finally, the third goal is really to think about how we can strengthen our supports for students and kids. And we're innovative, and we come up with ideas. And so we're thinking about extended school day opportunities like Saturday Academy, like our robust summer program. But we're also looking at high dosage tutoring for students during the day next year, and we have some ideas for how we can make that happen. And again, perhaps even utilizing some of our retirees. The state has given us a lot of money to use to provide children with tutoring before, during, and after school. The research shows, though, that you get a better you get a bang for your buck if it is during the school day. But we also would like to also provide transportation. We think that if we spend some money to provide some transportation and we run an after-school program, let's say at an early elementary school from 3:15 to 5:15, and we give them a little academics and we give them some fun too. Maybe they'll play some basketball or they'll go on the computers, that we will get families to have their kids stay after, sometimes not having the transportation impedes their ability to stay after school. And finally, we're going to prepare a few spotlights for families on what is PBIS so that parents understand the same strategies that teachers are employing. We're going to do some on literacy and numeracy. And finally, we have actually one starting this Saturday. We are having a parent and family digital learning. So the parents of the children at the Saturday Academy are going to learn how to create emails, how to get into the program, and they're going to learn how to safeguard their children's computers and learn how to perhaps put those blocks on their phones if they choose to. So that's this Saturday. Finally, I had spoken to Candace. We definitely want the translation device suitcases for all schools, similar to what Sonia is using here, so that when our principals are giving workshops like this, each school can have their own device and they can, use a bilingual teacher. I think that would be important to buy one for every school. And I know that Rhonda's working with her staff to find wraparound mental health services for students outside of the school day. There is money for that as well. Finally, we're going to enrollment, staffing, and projections. If you look at, and I have some notes on that, because remember, Stacy, you're better in math than I am. So if you look at the last 5 years, in 2019-20, we had 8,559 students. And right now, 22-23, we have 7,827. So it's a reduction of 732. I think that if you consider the kindergarten that is at Hemlock, Southwest, and East K and Pike Park, next year we'll probably be about 7,800. We really aren't decreasing much. What we are seeing is a change in the demographics. So for example, I reduced by 7 sections of general education and Wanda increased by 8 bilingual. So it's up 1, down 1. It's a wash, right? So that's what we're seeing. Universal pre-kindergarten, we are back to pre-pandemic levels. As you can see, in 2019-2020, we had 360 at Shepherd's Gate. This year, we have 348. Same for MDQ Academy. We actually increased there over the last few years. Family Service League, we increased there as well. Actually, we have the same as last year, but we are, supporting more families by providing pre-K. Of these, 769 of the students in our CBOs now will be attending East Kindergarten, 337, 61 will go to Hemlock Park, 292 to Pine Park, and 79 to Southwest. It's why I spend half my life there, because it behooves us to get those kids the services that they need, so that they can come into kindergarten stronger. And we are seeing it, right? We're seeing them, they're coming in stronger. We even saw a difference this year in kindergarten than we did last year. So kids are learning the routines, the structure, and they are learning how to be little students, studious students. Finally, normally I have a formula-driven model, which I'm not going to go into today because I've done it the last 2 years and people poke fun at me, but it was a way to establish consistency across classrooms, make it equitable by school and by district. I will say that I was given some permission by the superintendent to just keep class sizes a little smaller this year so that while we're making up ground, so for example, in first grade, if the cap is usually 26 or 25, 26, we're trying to keep that at 20, 21. And the goal being that a teacher would have one less reading group, one less math group to pull each week. And that's what we're trying to do, make up a little ground there in our classrooms. So here you have Southwest Elementary School. The way you read this is you have the bolded column, the 22-23 expected enrollment, all students, and then the 23-24 side by side. And then if you look at the 23-24 staffing need, that one column for Southwest, you'll see that in second grade they're going down one gen ed, but in third grade they're going up one bilingual. If you look to the right, the projections for 22-23 were 996, and next year 886 plus kinder that we're waiting on. But the number of sections are remaining 51, 52. Like I said, it's up and down. The demographic is really changing, but the numbers not so much. Same at Northeast. Northeast is actually going up to bilingual teachers. At North Elementary is going down 2 gen ed, up 1 bilingual, and the number of sections are, oh, I have to talk to you about that, Patrick, because I think Ms. Rhonda Young wants to put maybe a special ed class there. That's why it's in yellow. But we'll talk about room. We always have to look at district-wide. Where is there room? What we have tried to do over the years, though, as you can see, North Elementary has a concentration of special ed. So we're trying to give our special ed students a community school. If you remember years ago, they bounced around a little, and now it's great because if you go to first grade, you can also go to second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and you can graduate. Transition nicely. Twin Pines is going up 1 bilingual, number of sections 34 for this year and 35 for next year. Oak Park going up 1 gen ed, down 1 gen ed, up 1 bilingual and up 1 special ed, 38 and 39. Loretta Park is just going up 1, down 1, down 1, up 1 in grades 3 and 4. And so he's staying stagnant at 30. Laurel Park also up 1 bilingual, down 1 gen ed for 33. And Hemlock Park is going up 2. Where are they going up to? Special ed. They went up from 6 to 8, right, Rhonda? Yeah. Southeast, 24-24, up 1 in 3rd grade, down 1 in 4th grade. And Pine Park, we're waiting on our projections for Pine Park and East Elementary School. This academic and clinical support, if you recall, I always put this slide up, and at one point there were lots of holes, lots of blanks where we didn't have a social worker at one school or we didn't have a guidance counselor at one school. I think you'll be pleased to see that we have added extra support. So how you read this, you look at East Kindergarten, for example. Last year they had 2 sections. This year they had 2.5. For psychologists, last year they had 5, this year they also have 5. But last year they had 2 days, and now they have 5 days, and that's the way you read this chart. So you can actually see the improvement. Hemlock Park had Monday, Tuesday, Friday last year, so they went from, last year they had 2 days, this year they have 3. And that's how you read this. And I'm able to kind of see and have conversations with Sean and with Wayne Abenes, and we're able to make decisions based on what we're seeing here. Where are the holes? You know, is there equity? Are all schools getting what they deserve? Art, the same thing. We now have 40 minutes of art, music, and PE in all grades, which is great, as you can see. It was very fragmented. Our specials were fragmented through the years. It caused problems for principals to schedule. It made it very difficult, so it's making it a lot easier to have the preps for, at 40 minutes across the board. It's also wonderful that our kids have art, music, and even library, 40 minutes each week, once a week, and it's showing. That's a strong core. Everything contributes to a strong core, all of this. So when it was taken away in 28, 29, when you take things away, it does impact, because we know that kids who are involved in sports or art or music or PE do really well on standardized tests. And so finally, here's the staffing needs. Retiring in June, we have 11 elementary K-5 general ed teachers retiring, 2 elementary grade 6 teachers, 1 elementary phys ed teacher, for a total of 14. I was able to reduce 7 sections of general ed, still keeping the numbers low, but as I mentioned, Wanda has 8, is increasing by 8. So our staffing needs, I need to replace 8 gen ed teachers, plus we talked about adding 2 specialists for intervention at East KC and Pine Park. Currently they have about 28 sections each, and we figure if you have 3 specialists, each specialist could be assigned 9 teachers, and from those 9 teachers they can get their caseload of kids that they will support. So we're hoping to do that there. Art, it was a little tight this year, especially in some places where there's art or music is on a cart, so we needed a little wiggle room, especially in bigger schools, so we need to add 2 art, 2 music. We have 1 phys ed teacher retiring, so we need 1 more. I would like to add 1 guy, I would like 2, but I will take 1 this year, and I would also like 1 library media specialist, because Southwest had 8 sections of kindergarten and they didn't get what the other kindergarten centers got because they're a large school with 50-something sections. So so when all's said and done, it's a +4. +4 educators. And finally, we all can agree that the addition of the library media specialist, all of these state mandates that are coming in, the CBT testing, the new next generation standards for language arts is requiring that we restore an assistant coordinator of language arts and social studies in the curriculum office to support the digital fluency and computer science mandates, as well as the literacy skills of our students. And finally, I just, someone said many years ago, "In God we trust, everyone else bring data." And I heard it and I liked it. And that this is my time to celebrate and congratulate all the elementary schools based on the students who took last year. We are all LSI, or local school improvement, meaning that every school can grow. But our children showed growth as predicted. And I'd like to celebrate that. I'd also like to celebrate Southwest getting off the list this year. So congratulations. I know Stacy Boudet, you were part of that, and I want to thank all the Southwest teachers for working so hard. I will say that next year we got to keep the pedal on the metal, because we can't let off. We can't become complacent, because this year was a restart. Next year they begin to look at growth. But I have no doubt that our kids will grow. I have no doubt that throughout the years they grow. We see all the growth in our local assessments. We see it in our local iReady data. We see it in our Fountas and Pinnell. The kids are growing across a trajectory of learning. They are growing, and I am super proud to work with this team of educators for the last 15 years. It's humbling, it really is. And I don't know if I have 3 minutes. Do I have 3 minutes to show a video?
You do.
I do. Because when you think about the whole child, Saturday Academy is the epitome of teaching the whole child.
I wanna be stronger, just wanna be freedom.
Oh, wait.
Choosing your battle. Pick yourself up and dust yourself up and make you a shadow. You're on the front line, everyone's watching. You know it's serious, we're getting closer. This isn't over.
It okay?
Very, very smooth transition, Ms. Palmer, really. I got it, Buzz.
I'm glad I have my
I got it.
technology media specialists in the room.
Yeah. No, here.
Of course I do, but I wasn't going to. I was like.
You make it so tight, choosing your battle. Pick yourself up and dust yourself up and make you a shadow. You're on the front line, everyone's watching. be alright. I'll be alright. I'll be alright someday. Beautiful! See? You can do that. Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. All
Okay,
right.
well, I think we're gonna go on to Vincent, but are you coming back up again or no? Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ann?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If I can, just for a moment, I have to compliment Miss Palmer. She has been just a dynamo. You know, I've never met anybody so passionate about what they do. And our elementary division has improved by leaps and bounds because of Ann Palmer's leadership. She really is incredible. And she's not just, you know, she mentions the UPK, but prior to Ms. Palmer, the UPK was kind of our stepchild. There was not a lot of attention given to the CBOs, besides obviously just taking their enrollment. And I have to also thank Vincent Leone and now Vincent Tedesco, because they've also done quite a bit of work with the CBOs. And that's beginning to pay dividends. But that's under their leadership. And again, as I can say, that in years past, there wasn't this focus on the education of our UPK kids. They actually go down, they have professional development with those teachers a few times a year. They make sure they have the supplies and the curriculum that they're needed, that they're following that curriculum with fidelity. They really oversee that program just wonderfully. And really, you know, I have to say that our administrators, we have some principals and assistant principals here, as well as teachers. They've been phenomenal too. I have to say, Ms. Palmer thanked our principals, but our elementary schools are exceptional places of learning. They really are. They're just wonderful, wonderful little communities. I'm in there every single day, and I've never seen elementary schools so well run. And I wish everybody had an opportunity to pass through those hallways, because they're unlike many, many other schools across the island. But I have to thank Ann Palmer for her dedication. Her energy is boundless. Seriously, you just cannot turn her off. I often. Mhm. Yeah, you know, it's funny as you say that, and I'm looking around at the assistant principals and the principals and the coordinators and the teachers, and I couldn't help. I was thinking about this as I was looking around, that you know, obviously I'm going to leave here in the near future, and when I do, and when we all do, you know, Ann, Wanda, and Rhonda, we have a terrific bench. You know. I look around at this school district, and there are so many great leaders, really incredible. We're so fortunate and blessed. Yes.
And of course, you know, I mean, the best happened, right? When Wanda, 3 o'clock in the morning, blink, blink. And we're there, we're on the other end. I don't know if that's sad or.
I just really, I often think of your husbands and fiancés, and I know my wife is not too happy a lot of times. But.
You know, the buildings are always buzzing, and when you hear the compliments we're getting when we're at events, and, you know, even Cindy and I were at a Chamber of Commerce meeting last night. I mean, just people are really thrilled with what's happened most recently in the district. just really, really pleased. I don't want to jinx it, but we have.
No, you can't jinx
I'm not
it.
gonna say it,
Can't jinx it.
that, we really haven't had much complaint in regards to the education that we're providing the students. I mean, we are really providing a top-notch education, and I'll speak as a board, and if anybody else wants to chime in, we couldn't be more pleased. I'm proud that this is the district we're representing, so thank all of you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Rich, for being an excellent leader as well.
Oh, I'm very, very fortunate, as I said, but now it is my pleasure to introduce Vincent Leone, Dr. Vincent Leone, and Vincent Tedesco, or you're flying solo today? Oh, you're never flying solo. So, folks, it is my pleasure to introduce the coordinator of funded programs, Dr. Leone. And let's not forget our coordinator of bilingual and ENL. We have Paula, and I can't see her, but is that Maria next? Always Maria, the assistant coordinator. And Sonia, thank you so much. Every single board meeting, we can't thank you enough. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dan. Earl, I want to take them all.
Well, thank you so much. Those are some tough acts to follow. Special presentations, 3D printers, and Palmer, Super Saturday Academy. Thank you to the board for having me, Mr. Lochner, the entire cabinet. Just a quick overview of our emergency spending in the district, and you'll see some common themes when you look at our emergency spending and what Ms. Palmer shared today about the whole child approach to education. When we talk about our emergency funds in the Office of Funded Programs, it starts with alphabet soup. So if you look at all of these acronyms, here are some of the acronyms that you will encounter in the presentation. So we have them here for you. The first one is ESSER, which is Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. GEAR is our Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund. Our CARES Act budget is our Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act. Our CARISA budget is our Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. And finally, ARP, our American Rescue Plan budget. So we always start with alphabet soup in the Office of Funded Programs. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the process that our district goes through to establish emergency fund priorities. And it is all about listening to all of our stakeholder groups, listening to our parents, our families, our community members, our teachers, our leaders, our students. We value very much the input of all of our constituent groups. Since May of 2019, thousands, literally thousands, of BUFSD teachers, students, and parents have participated in district-wide surveys which have informed emergency fund priorities. In May 2021, last May, the State Education Department's evolving emergency fund progress monitoring categories were added to our district-wide surveys. Those categories included addressing student and staff physical health and safety, meeting student academic, social, emotional, and other needs, in other words, addressing the whole child, mental health supports for students and staff, and finally, operational continuity and other uses. So the survey that we distributed in May required survey participants to rate on a continuum from disagree to strongly agree that each of these elements were vitally important to support the success of students in our district. Here is what I refer to as the 30,000-foot view results from that survey. So on top, you're looking at the various constituent groups and the numbers of those constituent groups that participated in the survey. Look at our secondary students. 3,791 students participated in the survey. Elementary students, 2,112. 34 administrators, almost 1,000 teachers, and 226 community members. That's one of the reasons I'm here today, is to seek the support of the board, to communicate with the community, because we'd like to see that number increase. We'd like to see some more participation from the community. We have another survey that's going to be distributed tomorrow, will be announced in tomorrow's newsletter. So we want everybody here and everybody who's listening to participate in the survey, because we take very, very seriously input from everybody. The percentages that you see on this table are a combination of folks who agree and strongly agree that each of those elements are vitally important to support the success of students. We shaded the boxes green where there was the strongest agreement among the constituent group, and where there was the least agreement, we shaded the boxes red. So when I look at this 30,000-foot view from the moon, the first thing that jumped out at me was the agreement between our community members, teachers, and administrators. The number one priority was meeting student academic, social, emotional, and other needs. In other words, supporting the whole child. Now, I find this kind of remarkable in a day and age when it's difficult to have one or two people agree on anything, that we have so many, all of these constituents really come together and support the notion of supporting the whole child, not just academic success, social, emotional, and other needs as well. And our spending is aligned to that input. So we listen to our constituents. So we spend the majority of our emergency funds on meeting student academic, social, emotional, and other needs. The other thing that jumps out at me is the last category, which most of our constituents deemed least important, and that was operational continuity and other uses. So to us, this was our constituents telling us, these are emergency funds. We should use these funds to address the impact of the pandemic, and we should use other streams of funding for operational continuity and other uses, and that's exactly what we did. The last thing I'll point out on this slide is our students, and it was the only category where there was an agreement with our students. Our students were the only constituent group to agree that their mental health needs were most important above all else. And this really aligns with what we know about the pandemic and the impact of the pandemic on our students, on their social abilities, on how they perceive themselves, and their overall mental health. The pandemic was really devastating to a lot of our kids. So this is something that we suspected, and this information very much confirms it. So we've dedicated a lot of resources to support our students' mental health. So that's a 30,000-foot view from the moon. This is just an example of how we go deeper when we look at individual budget items. Just an example with staff and community members, we really look for alignment. So for example, there was quite a bit of alignment between purchasing devices and laptops for new entrants, including kindergarten students. So that's exactly what we did. You'll notice on this slide, there's quantitative information, numbers, there's qualitative information. You see a statement from a teacher on the bottom. So that's our approach in the Office of Funded Programs. It's a multiple mixed methods approach to analyzing data. So we know exactly what our constituents are telling us are the most important things to spend money on. And that's exactly what we do. So all of those survey dynamics have resulted in aggregate evolving emergency fund priorities. And they can be summed up in these 3 bullets. Infrastructure, including infrastructure to help keep our staff and students safe. Student social emotional health, and that includes their mental health, and student academic support. Sounds very much like what Ms. Ann Palmer prioritized in her presentation. And that's not by accident. It is a thoughtful, coordinated integration of our emergency funds with all the funds that we utilize here in the district. In addition, when you look at those priorities and you look at the state education department's categories for emergency fund spending, there's an awful bit of alignment, correct? But the state education department didn't develop these categories until 2021, whereas our priorities started to establish in 2019. So we're a little bit ahead of the state education department in this regard. That happens from time to time. Right, Vincent? Here was a list, a table, if you will, of all of our emergency fund budgets. So from the left column, you have the budget itself, the amount of money that's been allocated, the amount of money we've spent to date, the percentage of money that we've spent to date, and the term. So if you look at the top 2 rows, those were our CARES Act budgets. Those budgets expired in September of 2022. And you'll notice that we spent 100% of all of those funds. Now, if you're in and involved in education like all of us are here in this room, you hear from time to time emergency fund spending in schools, and what a waste. The federal government spent somewhere around $9 billion on these funds. And you hear from time to time that there's been 3 to 4% that have been spent. The schools don't even spend it. What a waste. Not in Brentwood. Our approach is to spend every single dollar that we receive and to do it thoughtfully. So that's what we've done with our CARES Act funds. If you look at our CARISA funds, those budgets expire in September of 2023, next September. So you see we're drawing those funds down. When you move down to the ARP budgets, those budgets don't expire until September of 2024. So it's been a thoughtful approach to expend the monies that expire the soonest so we can spend all of the money that we receive to help improve outcomes for students. So all told, we have received $64 million, roundabout. We have spent $28.5 million of those $64 million, or 44%. And by September of 2024, our goal is to spend every single dollar in a very thoughtful way. Of those $28.5 million, this is just some categorical spending. So money on salaries for our teachers, purchase services, supplies, materials, and remodeling. So just a sense, categorically, of the spending. This is another way to look at it. Same numbers, the $28.5 million, just the percentages that have been spent categorically in each. And now I just want to take a moment to present some highlights of that spending and the alignment between that spending and the State Education Department's progress monitoring categories. So let's look at salaries. And if you notice at the top right-hand corner of the presentation, I just put that little thumbnail of the surveys because it's the surveys that have informed and the input and the feedback from our constituent groups that have informed all of our work here in the district with emergency funds. So when you look at the category alignment, you're going to see what? Mostly addressing the whole child and mental health supports because that's what our children really wanted. Here's what we've done with salaries with our emergency funds. We've hired nurses, social workers, psychologists, the computer lab technicians that Ms. Palmer spoke about, bilingual testers. We've added hours for teaching assistants, high dosage tutoring for at-risk students, and evidence-based practice with significant impact for kids. We've added hours for bilingual curriculum writing. We are going to have a bilingual curriculum in this district at the end of this process that's going to be the envy of this island, and I submit to you the state. We've added hours for Regents preparation at the middle school level. Because we've added sections of Regents classes at the middle school level, we have to give our children all the tools, support, and resources they need to be successful. So we're tutoring them to be successful. We've added hours for individual graduation planning for students. Revolutionary. Don't know that there's any other district on Long Island that does this. Each child getting an individual graduation plan, and that's something that Ms. Wanda Ortiz Rivera, this incredible idea that's coming to fruition. Supplies. Holy smokes. Devices, thousands and thousands of devices. Aquas boards, really bringing the district into the 21st century. Flexible seating to support students with disabilities. Sewing class equipment for CTE classes, giving our students different pathways for graduation, tapping into their individual strengths, preferences, and interests. Science classroom materials. Where's Dion? Holy smokes. Graphing calculators, microscopes by the thousands. World language materials. Furniture for high school and freshman center libraries so the students can work in small groups, project-based learning experiences with real-world applications so students understand that their lives matter or make a difference in the real world. Remodeling. We've remodeled middle school kitchens and home economics classrooms. We've remodeled the North Middle School auditorium. We've improved science rooms. We are installing unit ventilators in all district buildings. We're remodeling and improving playgrounds at the elementary level. We could really go on and on. Purchase services, more furniture, things for the freshman center and high school. We've purchased 1,100 laboratory stations. We've contracted with vendors to provide professional development, academics, social emotional learning. We purchased Rosetta Stone licenses for students and families. It goes on and on and on. So my pitch to everyone here on the board, everyone listening home, it's my Jerry Maguire. Help me, help us, help you. We take the surveys very, very seriously. Everything our constituents have said to us, our families, our community members, our teachers, our students, please let us know. Help us help you. We're going to have a survey that's going to be announced in the newsletter tomorrow. And help us help you. We thank our parents and families for their partnership. I thank the board for all of their support, of course, Mr. Lochner. And thank you very much.
Thank you. So that was really exciting, Dr. Leone.
Next year, we have to, like, put in the background, like, American the Beautiful. Some music, and we all have to stand up when you start your riffs.
Sure. Sure.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate your diligence in making sure our funds are spent appropriately and we're getting the most bang for our buck in the areas that are necessary. So we appreciate your leadership as well, and thank you so very much. Ms. Palmer, I'm so sorry I didn't get to give my spiel like I normally do, but I just wanted to let you know that we are proud of your leadership as well. Your excitement is contagious, and it shows in all of your buildings. And I always say attitude reflects leadership. So thank you for your leadership because everyone looks so happy. So thank you for all of your hard work. We appreciate it, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vincent, you know, you've heard me say this before, that, and actually we were just talking about this, the hires, the legacy that we'll leave behind are great leaders. And Vincent Leone was one of the best hires that we've made in the last few years. He's really been terrific. We have had the fortune of getting a tremendous amount of money, as you can see. We're very blessed. And what I'm so proud of is the way that Vincent and now Vincent Tedesco, the assistant coordinator, gives a tremendous amount of help. The way they really work with the assistant superintendents, with the building principals, the building leaders, and they really are very circumspect about how they spend the money. You know, as you can see, he really has all different categories that he's very careful about how to spread that money out percentage-wise. And they're always focused on how to improve the school buildings, not just academics, but also obviously he mentioned some of the remodeling that's done. And it's always about how can we improve the buildings and the academics to improve the circumstances for kids. And that's what Vincent always has. What do you always say? He has lots of good lines, as you can imagine. But it is always about the student outcomes. Keep the main, that one, that wasn't one of your usuals, but we'll throw that in. He always is talking about, even in his position, he's always talking about student outcomes. And that's really what drives, that's really what he is about. How can he use all of this money efficiently to improve the student outcomes? And as you can see, as you go through these things, it's real. I mean, what he's done has translated into student success.
I think that's the main goal, right? I think that, well, I guess the main theme, well, after being a district on the move, is keeping the students in mind. They're the priority. So I think that that's kind of what is the main drive this year that we've been pushing out: the student first, the students first, and making it work. I mean, yes, we got blessed with this money through an unfortunate circumstance.
Right.
But, we're being smart about it, and I don't think the community can be upset at how we're spending the money, because we're showing it. We also hear in the community, oh, wow, you guys are doing this, oh, wow. And, we make sure they understand that this is 60 years worth of work that we're doing, because now we're fortunate enough to be able to have that money to do it. But we're also being smart about what's going to happen 5-10 years from now, keeping that in mind so that we're not leaving a huge gap for some other board that's going to sit here in that time to deal with. So we're all very cognizant.
Yeah, we are, and that's why I'm so proud of really everybody, Vincent and Vincent, as I'm speaking about them, is that they do keep that in mind. It's not frivolous spending. It's stuff that's put in place that will benefit this community long after we're gone, and that's what's terrific. It really is. It's an exciting time, and I cannot thank them enough for their leadership. Because what's wonderful being the superintendent here is that when you have terrific people that you work with, I have such a high level of confidence that they're getting it done every single day, and they really are. They just are tremendous people, tremendous leaders. And we're all very fortunate, and I think really this is a terrific presentation. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
And the same with Ann's. I mean, when you have time to go back over and read it, and it will be posted online. It's really something worth looking at, taking your time looking at it as a community member. Yeah, that's a great question, Simone. Yeah, we have our general budget, okay, and our general fund, as we call it. That's one number. And then we have these additional monies that are coming to us. And, Vincent really didn't speak about the title grants as well. There's also title grants that we get every year, is what you've heard us mention, the Title I, Title II, Title III, et cetera. Those are also title grants. However, they're usually renewed every year. But these, as Vincent, and we felt this was important to tell the community because this started a few years ago and it expires. It's a tremendous amount of money, and it's actually our duty and our responsibility to go out to the community and tell them how exactly we are spending this money. But the short answer is yes, this is in addition to.
My question would be like for the teachers, monitors, staff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this money going to be put into to continue the staff continuing down the road? How is that money? How are you going to secure that money going forward?
Yeah, that's also a great question. We've been very careful about putting some of this money towards staff members that couldn't be supported after this money expires. So if you'll notice, you really won't see teachers, okay? You'll see some support staff, obviously, just off the top of my head, I know Vincent mentioned nurses. So there are some areas where we could put it into salaries, but you can only put it into salaries if as a district you are confident that that program or whatever that staff member is doing will be continued after the money expires. So they don't expect us to hire somebody for 2 years or 3 years and then boom, that's done. And that's what we've done. We've only hired people because we have a level of confidence that we can continue keeping them. Right. And, right. And again, we're confident that's going to continue into the future.
And that's over a number of years,
Right.
and most of that is just like timesheet earnings. It's not their contractual earnings,
Right.
so it's, allocated to certain programs. So it's not a cost that may continue, for many years to come. But their salary funds are accounted for in the general fund
Right.
for the most part.
Yeah, if you're looking at teachers, there's lots of after-school programs. Actually, Ann Palmer, I think Wanda and Ron have spoken about them. That would be, those teachers would fill out timesheets, and it might fall under one of these funds. That's not their salaries. Any other questions? Oh, good.
Maria, Hassan, Cindy, Julie? I'd like to
I'm
thank
just
everyone.
enjoying absorbing all the information. It's good.
It's a lot of information.
I'd like to thank everyone for
No,
coming out.
There was,
Oh, we have,
there was, the general fund
Oh,
revenue now.
now,
I'm
it's,
sorry, I didn't
no,
see that.
that's okay. Stacy's actually going.
Legit me.
Wait, it was going this way? Oh, okay. I didn't know which.
I'm over here
Oh, wait.
thinking we're done. Saying a good night to everyone.
So, here we go. There's more coming this way.
And everybody,
It might be
everybody seemed to know it before me.
There's one more.
Yeah, now, Stacy
Do you need one more?
is got,
Oh, this is
Stacy is
Stacy.
going
All right,
to,
Stacy.
is do the next
Okay.
presentation.
Thank you, Stacy.
Can I? Wait. Yeah, I can, if you would like me to. Yeah, at the end, absolutely.
You ready?
All right, let me just give the formal introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you in the audience who don't know, this is Stacy O'Connor, the Assistant Superintendent in charge of finance.
When we start in budget development, believe it or not, back in January, we always talk about there's two sides of the budget. There's an expenditure side, and then there's a revenue side. During the presentations throughout our meetings, we always start with the expenditure side because we don't know our true revenue until later in the meetings. The state budget isn't due until April 1st, so we don't, always have that information to present. So what I'm going to present tonight, because the state has not adopted their budget, we're right on the borderline of that, and there's talk that it may be slightly late, but I don't think that has anything to do with our school aid, so I feel pretty confident in the numbers I'm going to present for that. They won't change much. So yeah, this is going to be the governor's budget, not the final state budget, and we kind of went over this a little bit in January, very briefly when it first came out. So, there we go.
Beautiful title page.
There you go. Okay, so what we're going to talk about tonight is the tax levy limit calculation. It's almost like Ann's formula for elementary. How to throw that in, Ann? You get it every year. We'll also talk about foundation aid, which is the biggest piece of our state aid. In terms of state aid highlights, other than foundation aid, not much, but we'll just touch on that. We'll look at debt service, because we did something this year. We paid off debt early. That's like the mortgage on your house. Imagine paying that off. So that's a great help to the budget. And it also keeps building aid coming, so it's a positive cash flow. And then we'll talk briefly about capital projects in the budget. So if we look at the property levy tax cap worksheet, for the past, this will be our fourth year where we're projecting 111,568,000 for our tax levy. That's what it is this current year. You add in a tax-based growth factor, you add in your pilots, and then you look at your capital expense aid, capital expense net of aid, so you take out the aid that you're getting. We add all of that up, and the tax levy cap calculation is the maximum of 2% or CPI. So we know this year CPI was well north of 2%. It's really ranging in the area of about 6% right now. So the most we can increase our levy is the 2%, because that's the cap. So if we follow through the formula and we get down to our tax levy limit, that's Q on the bottom, we look at 115 million, almost 116 million, or 3.91% that we can increase the levy, but we also have to add back our capital expenditures net of aid. So the most we can increase our levy to is 116,056,889. That's a 4.02% increase, which is allowable based on this formula. What we are projecting is what we've projected for the past few years now, and that is to keep the levy exactly the same. So that 111 million number that we saw. So no levy increase for the current, or for the 23-24 school year.
Stacy, no, I do think it's important to say again that we actually, by law, are allowed to go up to 4.02. And you will see several districts across the county, Nassau and Suffolk, across Long Island, that will actually exceed the 2% and may go up to a 3 or 4%. So we're very, very fortunate that we can, that obviously we can go out at a 0.
Right, you could see that graphically on the next slide. So if you look back to 1920 school year, the blue line on top is what we were allowed to come out at. The levy increase based on that formula I just showed you. So I remember that year, 1920, we were allowed to come out at 4.03% on the levy. We came out at can I get that? At the 1.03% down here. The following year, we came out at 2.5%. We could have gone up more, over 3%. And you could see that gap between that green line and the blue line. That's the savings to the community. It represents what we could have levied versus what we actually levied for the community. So this coming year, it's about a $5 million savings that we're not charging the community, and it was very similar the year before, the past 2 years, really. So we've really been very responsible with the funds, as Dr. Leone was saying earlier.
And that's, you know, an important note there is that's compounding.
Yes.
Obviously, that could have been, you know, we could have, that all the way back 4 years ago, that could have been an additional few million. So that's been compounding. Not, or I should say, not compounded.
Not compounded, yes. So in 21-22, it could have gone up 5 million. 22-23, another 5 million for a total of 10. 23-24, another 5 million,
that's
so
a
a total of
tremendous
15.
amount of savings
Yeah.
over the 4 years.
Yeah. So one thing I'd also like to explain is that the tax levy is not the same as the tax rate. The tax levy is what we ask the community, what the town to collect on the school district's behalf. So when I file the paperwork in September with the town, we're going to ask for that $111 million, just like we have the past number of years. But that's not the tax rate, what a homeowner will actually pay. The tax rate deals with the tax levy. It takes the total tax levy, and then assessed values come in. So you divide the levy by the assessed values. I don't want to get into the math too much, but we've had questions in the past, if the tax levy remains the same, can my taxes go up? And the answer to that is yes, they may. They may go up, they may go down. School levy will remain the same, but if your assessed values changed, maybe you built something onto your house, you expanded, you did something, that'll raise your assessed value, so it will raise your taxes. There are exemptions. Maybe you applied for an exemption that could lower your taxes. There's something called adjusted base proportions that we have here in Brentwood. The town assigns how much of that levy will be pushed to the business owners in the community and how much will be pushed to the homeowners in the community. And that can change. That does change year by year. So depending on how that changes, that can impact your property taxes. So even if the school levy stays the same, your taxes may change. I also want to point out the STAR program. I have the website there on the slide that I'm showing now. If you're not part of the STAR program, I do encourage you to join that. It is a way of saving some money from your taxes as long as your school district stays below the allowable rate, and we've done that every year. The new program now, and it's not really even new anymore, it's probably 7, 8 years old, is you get a check back from the state for the savings on your taxes. The old program, if you're still in it, you could get grandfathered in that, but that's where they actually lowered your taxes and you don't get a check back. That's frozen now, that old way of doing it, so whatever your taxes are being lowered by, that's frozen, it's not gonna change. If you can, if you're on that program, sign up for the new program, and if you'll pay your full taxes, but then you'll get a check back. That will increase, so there is an advantage to going to that new program because you can save a little bit more. Another point about your property tax is that it not only includes your school tax, there are other taxes in there. So let's say in the perfect world, your assessments don't change, the exemptions don't change, the adjusted base proportions don't change, so your school tax remains exactly the same. Your property tax overall can still change, up or down, based on county taxes, the town taxes, the fire district, the library. So there are many things that influence what you actually pay. Sure.
Our values may increase, right? And they use I don't know if they use a broad standard to assess the values of houses, because we've had that.
Yeah, they can reassess
Yeah.
homes.
Right.
Yeah, that would be at the town level. They
Right.
may choose
But
to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I know that has come up in other meetings, that people don't really understand why. Besides all the other taxes, our assessed values go up, even if we don't make an improvement.
Yeah, that is possible. We just look at state aid, and again, I want to just say that this is based on the governor's budget. What she's presenting is an overall increase to education for $3.1 billion or 10%. And that's because the governor made a promise a few years ago to fully phase in foundation aid. She was going to do that over a 3-year period. So we are in currently, 22-23 is the second year of that 3-year period. So 23-24 is going to be our final year of that phase in. So the state increased foundation aid by $2.7 billion of that $3.1 billion. So the vast majority is clearly in foundation aid to finish the phase in. So how the state is phasing that in is 2 different scenarios, depending on where school districts are. If school districts are already receiving their full foundation aid, they're going to get an automatic 3% increase to their foundation aid. School districts like us, who are still not at where we should be based on the foundation aid formula, are simply going to get what's still due to us. And if you remember years ago, we did some rallies, we talked about foundation aid, we were at the Nassau County Supreme Court, I believe, doing a rally there. And we held up a banner, we're short $139 million in foundation aid per year. It was huge how much we were short based on that foundation aid formula. So now this is the year we're finally going to have all of that $139 million. It's changed a bit because there's been inflation factors, the makeup of our students, our enrollment, so there are some changes in there that actually made it increase, not decrease. And that was a per year amount. Imagine what our students could get with all of that. Pretty much everything else remained the same in terms of state aid. It's foundation aid that is really driving our change. And if we just look at the numbers from 22-23 to 23-24, the dollar change is $78 million, and that's just for us, for Brentwood. The foundation aid change is actually $79 million, or a 25.83% increase. For the first time in, I think, since UPK started, we're seeing a small increase there, or well, it's 13% or $1 million, but that hasn't changed since they started with UPK aid. So those are the numbers based on the governor's budget, again, not final, but I don't expect it to change all that much. Debt service is something, we did a great thing this year. We paid off some old debt. We were paying kind of a high interest rate on it, so it just made sense to do. So you could see our debt service in 21-22, we had a borrowing that year for our energy performance contract 2, that's doing all of our solar improvements throughout the district. And since then, we just have debt falling off of our debt service schedule as we pay it off. All of the new construction that we're gonna start doing, the turf fields, cafeterias, science rooms, we have so many exciting projects coming. We're not gonna borrow money for that, so this debt service schedule is not gonna go up. We're doing that with our own money. As we close out the projects with the state, we're gonna start getting building aid on that, even though we didn't borrow any funds for that. So that's gonna be positive cash flow into the future for many, many years for the district, and that's really very exciting. So you can see by 25, 26, that's just a couple of years away, our debt service is just going down tremendously, and we'll still have that building aid. So thank you to the board for allowing me to do that this year. It really helped accelerate this. Transfer to capital, that's some of, I just mentioned some of the projects that we're doing with our own money, so this we're taking right out of our general fund. We need additional funds for the turf at the high school, that'll cover the soccer stadium, the football fields, and the pavilion. I showed that rendering of it a while back, I believe it was in the fall. It's just gonna look outstanding. We're just waiting for state approval for that, it's been taking so long. Because the state is kind of stuck in all of those ESSER and Carissa projects, they're prioritizing those projects to give approval for or to examine prior to doing any of these transfer to capital funds, because those funds run out where the transfer to capital funds don't have an end date. So that's really slowing us down on this, but we're very close to the turf and the locker rooms and all that getting approved. And then we're looking at a possible acquisition of property and a building, including renovations, but we'll talk more about that as we see if that actually comes to fruition. And again, the tax levy debt service increase due to these projects is 0. There will not be an increase to our levy or our debt service. So what happens next in the budget development process? Later in April, the 19th, the board will be presented with the budget for their consideration and adoption. After that, we file a property tax report card, and then we get the budget newsletter ready to be mailed, which is in late April. May 4th will be our budget hearing right here in this room, and that's where we'll go over a summary of the whole budget and look at, hopefully we have our revenue by then, we should have it by then. And then May 16th is the budget vote. So if there are any questions?
Stace, I think that meeting is the 18th.
Is that,
Yes.
I had the 18th, but then,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
on
we
the,
changed it to the
it's on the
18th.
slide.
okay,
Yes.
sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
It's general fund money, so that, other than that UPK, which goes to the special aid fund. But one of the governor's proposals, now it's not final, is for high impact tutoring. So they're actually taking some of our unrestricted, possibly taking some of our unrestricted foundation aid and telling us how to spend it. And that's similar to what they did with what's called community schools aid that we still have within our budget. We have an allocation within our foundation aid, it's not additional money, of about $7 million, which we have to spend towards that community schools aid. And that's a very confusing term because we had a community school at the
Right, it's
freshman
not
center, and it is not the same thing.
But we're ahead of the curve on that because we are ready for the
Yeah.
high impact tutoring.
Yeah, I've been working that out with the cabinet members, and, we're working on that. And in terms of foundation aid, just like Dr. Leone said, we want to hear from you, and we do that interactively through the surveys, through the comments that we get at these budget meetings. So that helps to guide us too on how we spend the foundation aid. So we welcome any comments that we get from the community, from the board, from, anybody in the district.
funds that the state has put in there, black assistant bonuses for staff, things like that, additional care.
In terms of the stimulus funds, I wouldn't say bonuses, but we have extra, opportunities for staff because we're doing so many more after-school programs and Saturday Academy, so it isn't an.
Healthcare workers.
Oh, the health, that's completely separate. Yeah, we are, doing the healthcare worker bonus. We've gone through 2 vesting periods of that. Actually, tomorrow ends the 3rd vesting period, so then we'll file for that. So yeah, that is not in our general fund
Yeah,
budget.
that
Is
doesn't come from
completely
us.
separate. Yep.
That includes all staff or
No.
certain staff for eligible?
Yeah, there are certain categories of staff that are eligible. It's mostly your mental health staff, your nurses.
Nurses.
Yeah. Not in a school district. In a hospital there was, but not in a school district, yeah.
Any other support staff besides nurses, like psychologists, social workers?
Psychologists and social workers, not guidance counselors, unfortunately.
There was quite a bit of back and forth
Yeah.
for many, many months across the state, trying to get clarification as to who was entitled to that money. And it was different in the healthcare.
That was just in a hospital
That was
too.
just
That
in a
was not
hospital
school
setting.
district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We made the application, actually Rhonda was, instrumental as that, as well as Stacy. Yeah, we made the application for everybody and
We
then
tried.
it was whittled down.
Yeah.
Might have started that way, and by the time,
Yeah.
it was solidified, it wasn't that.
A related question, so will those staff members see that bonus in a separate check? Or is that gonna be included in their salary somehow? How is that paid out?
It'll come in their paycheck, like we get the money from the state based on the first 2 vesting periods, which we had to file together because it came to us kind of so late. But we got that money wired to our account separately from the state, and then we gave it to them in their paycheck, but it comes untaxed, so we make it pre-tax dollars. The state actually gives us the money to pay our share of the tax, but the employee doesn't pay tax.
So they've already seen some.
Yeah, the first 2 vesting periods have been paid.
It's
And
most
once
of
you
the-
claim for 2 vesting periods, you're not eligible for the rest of them. So the bulk of our staff already got the money. It's only like new hires now, believe it or not, are still eligible for that.
Thank you, Stacy.
Welcome.
Any questions from the board? From the audience? Thank you so much
If
Thank you
I,
so for your,
wait, hang on, Stace, I do want to say, obviously, Stacy's been tremendous. There's just a few things I want to point out. When I took over as superintendent, there's a big old binder, that's probably about 11 by 17 and maybe, 1,000 pages that they did an exhaustive research many, many years ago, looking at turf fields, for example, and lots of the upgrades that we're currently doing. And it could have been anywhere between a $75 million and to $100 million bond that we would have gone out to the community. As a matter of fact, one of our first conversations that Stacy and I had is we were trying to prep because we thought eventually we would want to do these upgrades, the turf fields, for example, the classrooms, the cafeteria, the science rooms, the cafeterias, the man traps, all of the things that we've spoken about over the years. We thought we would have to, put together a plan and go out to the community and ask for anywhere from 75 to $100 million. So all of these upgrades, it's because of really the way that we've carefully, budgeted the money, and Stacy's been tremendous in that regard. That's what's allowing us to do this. I mean, when she goes over the debt service, it doesn't sound like a big deal because it's just a graph on a page, but it really is just tremendous opportunity for the Brentwood community. So in just a few short years, hopefully we're going to break ground this fall on the soccer stadium. But all of these improvements come at no additional cost to the community. Now, many of us come from other communities where those communities had to go out for bonds. bond issues, even for computers and the laptops. That also would have had to have been in, potentially into, and the Aquas boards would have been in those, that bond issue, which we thankfully and gratefully did not have to do. And again, that's because Stacy has really been just a tremendous finance person. But, and I do want to thank her. I think she's just been doing a fabulous job for us. We couldn't be where we are. She does skim a few million off the top, but you know what? I think she does deserve it,
Oh, don't start any rumors out there, Rich. Please don't do it.
I'm only kidding. We're not Rosalind. Oh, now wait. Oh no. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's going to be out there on the media.
He's just kidding.
I'm just kidding. No, it's not a few million. It's a few 100,000.
Yes, thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
We truly appreciate all of your fiscal prowess.
Prowess. Yes.
We really do appreciate it. We know we couldn't have gotten here without you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, we should just say that we also, because there's a lot of new people here, we're doing the cafeterias. We're doing lots of elementary school cafeterias and two middle school cafeterias. So excited about those additions, as well as the turf fields. We are doing the man traps in the elementary schools this summer. Lots of other, we're doing the science classrooms, 3 science classrooms in each of the 4 middle schools. Thrilled about that. So many great things going on. The construction over the summer. Actually, lots of the construction that's going on now is really tremendous too. So we're very, very grateful.
And I want to thank all the board members sitting on the dais for the support and pushing the district forward. I appreciate it, all of the support that you guys give to the district. It really makes a difference, and it's seen. Again, the community sees it. I think the staff and the district see it. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Anything else?
So, Rich, can I ask you, with everything that you listed, would you categorize us as a district on the move?
Let's use that, Hassan. District on the move.
Sounds great.
I can't wait. And with that being said, this concludes.
Well, I think Julie wanted me to mention something.
Yes,
You
please do.
you did see my letter earlier in the week about the name change, that we have to look towards changing the name Brentwood Indians. And I've actually really, want to thank lots of community members, students, staff members who have actually sent me quite a few ideas. But tomorrow you're going to get another letter from me, a brief letter. And I'm going to send out an email address that will be just unique for the collection of all of the ideas that are out there by students, staff, community members. Lots of people are interested and excited. I'm getting text messages and emails all of the time, so it's really a lot of fun. However, we'd like to put it in one location. And I'm also going to send out a time frame along with my email. And I would like to ask too that it's not important not just to send a name. I'm going to use one. This is not necessarily the name, but some people have said Brentwood Pride or Brentwood Nation, for example. All great names. But what we'd like, and actually Ms. Hoey, again, I was speaking with her, one of her great ideas, include a reason behind the name. And again, I'll say this in my email to the community tomorrow. So for instance, again, getting back to Brentwood Pride or Brentwood Nation, if you could just include a brief blurb, just a few lines, as to why you think that would make an exceptional name for the Brentwood community, okay? The Brentwood School District. So that's what we'd like, because you know what, that will give us some perspective, some meaning to why this person or persons are choosing that name. And then what we'll do is I'm going to give a time frame. I just have to verify, the time with the board. And then we'll collect those names. And we have a mechanism in place to kind of whittle that down to the top 5, I believe. We'll try to the top 5, and that's when we'll send out a survey to the entire community, and we'll collect that survey again within a certain time frame, and that's when we will choose. It'll be completely community-driven, survey-driven. So that, at that point, obviously, as Dr. Leone mentioned, it's important we get that survey back. So you'll hear from me tomorrow and subsequently a number of other times. Also, the board, you know, I haven't had a chance to talk to the whole board, but the board next week, at one of the days, possibly Wednesday, would like to meet with the high school students, and we'll send something out to the high school students. It'll be at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. I think that's what we're looking for. I just want to make sure I can get the board there Wednesday at 2 o'clock, any board member that can be there. They would like to meet with student representatives, potentially from the ROTC, Student Council, National Honor Society, et cetera. And, you know, we'd like to talk to them about the name change, why it's happening, you know, and where we're going with it. And eventually, once we choose the name, then we'll send out another letter from me. We'll be asking for now some depictions. If somebody can, you know, draw, again, getting back to Nation and Pride, if someone could take the logo and draw a nice logo, and that's, again, what we'll do is we'll choose a logo.
Can they send pictures with that?
That's, actually, they absolutely can send that. Yeah, I got some pictures too, and so that's a great point. They can send that. I don't know exactly how they do that, but they'll know better than me. They can send it through the email. Okay.
Anything else like that? Anyone else? Can I close the meeting? Is this time for real?
I think this is for real.
Okay, so thank you everyone for attending. Our next public session will happen on Thursday, April 18th, right here. And
Yeah, I do want to thank though.
Wednesday, April 18th.
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
I can't be Tuesday.
Yeah, we had to change.
Tuesday
the 18th.
Tuesday the 18th.
Could I congratulate Ms. DiMaria and Mr. Crespo? We have they are we're only the second year into badminton, and we're already 3-1. Pretty incredible. Congratulations.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:21 p.m.
Motion.
Motion
Ladies
by
first.
Simone Holder. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Hassan Ahmed. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone.